floating production storage and offloading FPSO vessel below budget of $14.9 billion as against $16 billion budget forecast. Dr. Barrow gave this commendation while receiving the chairman and group chief executive officer Total Group, Patrick Jean Poyani, and other top management of the group at the NNPC Towers in Abuja.
I also want to appreciate you for supporting NNPC's funding of the gas projects using the Nigerian LNG balance sheet as a support.
Earlier, the chairman and group chief executive officer Total Group, Patrick Jean Poyani, said Nigeria was very important to the Total Group, reiterating that the Ijina FPSO was delivered below budget with a lot of Nigerian content.
We dedicate a lot of time to the Nigerian ventures, and the relationship with NNPC has been very special to us for all the ventures. Of course, we have been, I would say, quite successful in Nigeria, and the last, I would say, major milestone, of course, is the startup of Ijina.
The Group Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, Dr. Mikanti Baru, has said that the industrial sector must make sustained efforts to support higher education by providing the critical encouragement needed to help students develop technical skills that can make them employable. Dr. Baru made the declaration while delivering the second convocation lecture of the Federal University of Petroleum Resources, Efum, Delta State. In a lecture entitled "The Role of Petroleum University in Bridging the Gap Between Industry and Academia for Sustainable Growth and Economic Development," the GMD stated that collaboration between the entities was a recipe to achieve a win-win relationship for the academia and the oil and gas industry.
It is our belief that this institution of learning will continue to breed top-rated graduates and professionals that are prepared to play a transformational role in the industry, businesses, and the academia.
Providing a practical example of such approach, Dr. Barrow said through the years, NNPC has provided support to the academia under its corporate social responsibility CSR programs in so many ways that included provision of infrastructure, research and development, as well as human capacity building. He related the story of Mrs. Christiana Edwards-Annie, a past winner of the NNPC National Science Quiz Competition, who currently works as a lecturer in the institution. Responding on behalf of the university, Professor Mrs. Prekeyi Tawari Fufenyi, Deputy Vice Chancellor Administration, who stood in for the Vice Chancellor, Professor Aki Ibadode, commended the GMD for the lecture and far-reaching recipe to achieve a balanced industry-academia relationship.
This points to our commitment to continually interface with the industry players with a view to register our presence in the industry.
Thank you so very much, NNPC. Like you say, you touch the lives of people in many positive ways, and that is a statement of fact.
NNPC, we touch your lives in many positive ways.
The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, has pledged to sustain and enhance existing support for indigenous oil and gas companies in line with the spirit and letters of the Nigerian content legislation, which ultimately seeks to enthrone efficient and profitable indigenous capacity utilization across all tiers of the industry. Speaking at the end of a tour of an ultra-modern workshop and fabrication yard of a Warri-based indigenous firm, Lee Engineering and Construction Company Limited, Group Managing Director of the NNPC, Dr. Mikanti Baru, said NNPC would continue to encourage companies like this that have shown utmost faith in the oil and gas industry through massive investment in capacity building and machinery.
Nigerians that I've seen all over the workshop on the floor can definitely do what it's doing because they're doing more challenging jobs, more complex jobs that they're assigned to.
Earlier in his welcome address, Dr. Ekpeya commended the GMD for accepting to visit the company despite his busy schedule
We are indeed a source of pride to NCDMB for local content and job creation.
The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, has saved $2.2 billion through the Direct Sale Direct Purchase DSDP scheme of petroleum product supply since its inception in 2016. This was disclosed by the Group Managing Director of NNPC, Dr. Mekanti Baru, at the public opening of bids for the 2019 term contract for lifting crude oil and petroleum products under the DSDP scheme, which held at the NNPC Towers, Abuja. Speaking at the event, Dr. Baru said 29.5 million metric tons, or 39.6 billion liters of petroleum products had been supplied under the scheme, representing 90% of the nation's requirements.
Which over the years has ensured significant reduction in product demurrage and costs in the range of 84%, and cost savings of over $2.2 billion per year.
Highlighting other benefits of the scheme, the GMD said its competitive pricing framework, which is lower than the Petroleum Products Pricing Regulatory Agency's PPPRA benchmark, led to about 84% reduction in products demurrage cost. He explained that the public bid opening exercise was in keeping with President Muhammadu Buhari's transparency and anti-corruption stance, which the corporation had imbibed and championed relentlessly under his stewardship.
Our key objective is to make sure that this intervention process is there to make sure that we keep this country liquid by virtue of our obligation as a national oil company, which requires that we are the supplier of last resort.
Bid round was witnessed by officials of Nigeria Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, NEITI, Bureau of Public Procurement, and other non-governmental organizations, NGOs. Nigeria inched closer to its target of bridging projected shortfall in domestic gas supply with the inauguration of the Asa North Ohaji South Gas Processing Company, a partnership between the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, and Seplat Petroleum Nigeria Limited, expected to deliver 300 million standard cubic feet of gas per day to the domestic market. At the inauguration, Group Managing Director of the NNPC, Dr. Mekanti Baru, urged board members to sustain the momentum and ensure timely delivery of the project, not just within budget, but below the budget without compromising the industry best practices of zero incidences.
We believe that the private sector-driven project should deliver much faster. And we came up with the structure outside the JB.
Speaking on behalf of board members, Chairman of the board, Engineer Saidu Mohammed, who also doubles as NNPC Chief Operating Officer, Gas and Power, affirmed the determination of the company's directors to work assiduously with management to ensure attainment of set tasks and targets.
Indeed, it is a journey that we have started, and we also noted that we have already gone ahead with some commitments as the steering committee in order not to just slip off.
On his part, Engineer Austin Avuru, Vice Chairman of the Board and Chief Executive Officer of Seplat Petroleum, described the event as memorable for the Indigenous firm.
For us in Seplat, this is a special day that announces a landmark relationship with our big father, NNPC, with a charge to deliver value to the Nigerian economy.
The AGPC functions as a partnership between Nigeria Gas Company, NGC, a subsidiary of the NNPC, and Seplat Petroleum under a 50-50 equity structure.
The effort of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, to end cross-border smuggling of petroleum products has received a boost, as the Road Transport Employers Association of Nigeria, RTEAN, has pledged its support to the corporation to end the menace. National President of RTEAN, Comrade Osakpa Wayario, who made the pledge at the National Executive Council meeting of the association in Abuja, said as stakeholders in the downstream petroleum sector, his association would support, quote, any initiative by the NNPC to restore sanity to the industry, and we will be with you to fish out every unscrupulous element in the system, unquote.
Before, we used to park on the queue, sometimes 1 week, 2 weeks. At the end, we will not even get the product to buy. But ever since you guys have been on board, today, we no longer stay on queue. In that case, we decided to give you people honor. That today, we are enjoying the benefits of our country.
Speaking earlier on the state of the petroleum downstream, Group Managing Director of the NNPC, represented by the Managing Director of Petroleum Products Marketing Company, PPMC, Mr. Omar Ajia, disclosed that to sustain the present seamless supply of petrol across the country, the NNPC is adding additional 2 billion liters of PMS to its stock every month, with effect from April 2019.
We will continue to bring the 2 billion liters into the country, and we will stock the inland depots to preempt any action of greedy marketers.
The Group Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, Dr. Mekanti Baru, has been commended for his leadership role in the petroleum industry. Chairman of the Society of Petroleum Engineers, SPE, Nigeria Council, Mr. Debo Fagbami, gave the commendation on the sidelines of the recently concluded 2019 Oloibiri Annual Lecture Series organized by the Council in Abuja. Mr. Fagbami said Dr. Barrow's effective leadership and foresight had restored investors' confidence in the oil and gas industry.
Dr. Barrow, it's always thought-provoking, like you mentioned, and I think he was able to set the scene, actually, and if you notice, after his speech, most of the other speakers were more or less referencing bits and pieces from his speech, so he already set the scene and created the platform for us to have far-reaching engagements.
The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, has described as untrue insinuations that plans are afoot to relocate its gas marketing subsidiary, Nigerian Gas Marketing Company Limited, NGMC, from Warri to Abuja. The national oil company has also affirmed that the purported plans to spend 120 million naira as yearly rent and another 294 million naira to relocate NGMC to Abuja are false and should be discountenanced by members of the public. NNPC Group General Manager, Group Public Affairs Division, Ndu Amadu, stated in a release in Abuja that the clarification came in the wake of a misleading report on the purported relocation and allocation of huge sums of money for that purpose as broadcast in the social media by our group. Ohamadu described the misinformation by the group as malicious and capable of inciting the public, particularly the NGMC's host communities, against the company. The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, has grown domestic gas supply capacity to 1.7 billion standard cubic feet per day, with the plans to increase it to 2 billion standard cubic feet per day at the completion of some short-term gas supply projects by 2019. Chief Operating Officer Gas and Power Engineer Said Mohammed made this known during the 2019 Business Forum of the Nigerian Gas Association in Lagos. Represented by the Managing Director of the Nigerian Gas Marketing Company, NGMC, Mohammed Barau, Engineer Mohammed stated that the strategy adopted by the corporation would lead to the execution of 7 critical gas development projects to bridge the foreseen medium-term supply gap.
By the year 2021, that's when the gap between supply and demand will be substantially bridged. There will be a lot of gas for power, there will be gas for export and gas for industry.
Earlier in her welcome address, the president of the Nigerian Gas Association, Engineer Audrey Joe Ezigbo, said gas remains that critical resource which stands to rapidly catalyze the attainment of Nigeria's economic recovery and growth agenda.
The world is counting on Nigeria to propel her economic development using her natural gas resources as the catalyst.
Hello, good to have you join us on the feedback segment of the program. My name is Julia Auta. Traditionally, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, is saddled with the responsibility of managing the national oil and gas resources. The NNPC partners with some international oil companies, IOCs, to explore and exploit the nation's petroleum resources. Today, our camera on the streets sought to find out from the public if they can name some of these IOCs operating in Nigeria.
One, Shell, Chevron. That's the two I can think of right now.
Well, we have some international oil companies that are working in Nigeria, like Shell, ExxonMobil, Elf, and quite some. We have some indigenous companies too.
ExxonMobil, we have the former Texaco, then we have Chevron, we have Mobil and Co.
We have Shell, have Total, Mobil, and others are operating in Nigeria.
No Total, I know Shell, I know ExxonMobil.
Some of the international oil companies in joint venture agreement with the NNPC include ExxonMobil, Chevron, Shell, Total, and Ajib, to mention but a few. These IOCs are in joint venture agreements with the NNPC to explore and process the nation's petroleum resources for the benefit of all. And that's it on this segment. Please stay with us for the rest of the program.
Hello, good to have you join us on yet another informative segment of the program. My name is Abigail Ojogo. Did you know that the Crude Oil Marketing Division, COMD, of the NNPC is mandated to sustain federal government of Nigeria's equity oil and gas production? The COMD seeks to arrest dwindling oil and gas revenue, improve oil and gas marketing efficiency. Did you know that the COMD ensures maximum programming and lifting of available federal government of Nigeria equity crude? Also, the COMD ensures availability of crude oil to guarantee uninterrupted cash flow to federal government of Nigeria. Did you also know that the COMD responds appropriately to challenges of changing global oil and gas market dynamics? Did you know that it ensures prompt collection of oil and gas proceeds for federal government of Nigeria? Now you know. Please stay tuned for the rest of the program.
Hello and welcome to Global Crude Oil Outlook. Oil prices are going down by record U.S. crude production that led to a surge in inventories. Brent crude oil futures were at $71.57 per barrel, 61 cents below their last close. Brent is set for a weekly loss, which would break its longest string of weekly gains for a year. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures were down 60 cents at $63 per barrel. U.S. crude stockpiles last week rose to their highest since September 2017, jumping by 9.9 million barrels to 470.6 million.
Around 40, after the hijrah of the most noble Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is equivalent to 5th May 2019, marked the end of Sha'ban 1440 after hijrah. Reliable reports of moon sighting were received from Muslim leaders and organizations across the country, which were duly verified and authenticated by us, the states and national moon sighting committees. Consequently, tomorrow, Monday, the 6th day of May 2019, becomes the fourth day of Ramadan 1440 AH, inshallah. We therefore call on all the Muslim Ummah in the country to commence fasting accordingly. We would like to use this opportunity to implore the Muslim Ummah to devote ourselves fully to ibadat throughout the holy month of Ramadan. Pray fervently for the blessings of Almighty Allah for our leaders at all levels to succeed in steering the affairs of our dear country and for the sustenance of peace and stability. We also urge all Muslims to use this holy month of Ramadan to dedicate themselves to the teachings of Islam and continue to live peacefully with one another, irrespective of religious and tribal differences. May Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward us for the ibadat we are going to offer in this holy month of Ramadan with Al-Jannah Firdaus. Amen. We say Ramadan Mubarak to all. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله على النبي الكريم. ‘Yan uwanmu jama'ar musulmi maza da mata, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatu. A bisa sharuɗan shari'ar musulunci, muna farin cikin sanar da ku cewa yau Lahadi 29 ga watan Shaban 1440 bayan hijirar shugabanmu Annabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, ya yi daidai da 5 ga watan Mayu shekara ta 2019 miladiya, an kawo ƙarshen watan Shaban. Mun samu labari da tabbacin ganin sabon watan Ramadan daga shugabanni da ƙungiyoyin addinin musulunci da a ko'ina a cikin faɗin ƙasar nan, kuma kwamitocin dubin wata na ƙasa da na jihohi sun tantance kuma mun tabbatar mun amince. Bisa ga haka, gobe Litinin 6 ga watan Mayu shekara ta 2019 miladiya ya zama 1 ga watan Ramadan shekara ta 1440 bayan hijira. Saboda haka muna kira ga jama'ar musulmi da mu tashi da azumi gobe idan Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ya kai rayukanmu. Muna son mu yi amfani da wannan dama na wannan jawabi mu ƙara kira ga jama'ar musulmi da yawaita ayyukan ibada a cikin wannan wata mai alfarma don samun gafara da alheri daga ubangijinmu. Mu kuma ci gaba da yin addu'o'i musamman ga shugabanninmu domin samun nasarar shugabancin wannan ƙasa tamu da kuma samun cikakken zaman lafiya da kwanciyar hankali da ci gaba. Muna kuma ƙara kira ga musulmi da mu ƙara kyautata ayyukanmu akan hanyoyin da addinin musulunci ya umurce mu na zama lafiya da 'yan uwanmu ba tare da nuna bambancin ƙabila ko addini ba. Allah shi ba mu lafiya da zama lafiya da gama lafiya. Amin. Muna muku barka da ganin watan Ramadan mai albarka a wannan lokaci. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.